Welcome to Fixation Rotation Podcast. My name's Sarah.
And I'm Jessica.
And you can find us at Fixation Rotation Pod on Instagram or fixationrotationpod@gmail.com.
That's right. If you want to email us, please do. And we're also on YouTube at Fixation Rotation Pod. On YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel because maybe we'll be able to keep doing the podcast if you do that. So, Sarah, I am very curious. What did you fixate on this week?
I'm going to give you some hints first, okay? So it's a group of people, a minority of people that are in every society, every culture.
Sorry, I was going to say lizard people.
No. Okay, we got to get out of Roswell and back to
reality.
The topic at hand, Jessica.
Okay.
They're about 10% of people consistently across all societies. However, back like in the 50s and previously, about like only like 2 or 3% of the population openly identified as such. And there was a lot of efforts to change this group of people and make them more like the norm. What is it?
I don't know.
Just guess.
Gay people?
Nope. It's left-handed people.
Oh.
I totally set you up for that, though.
I was like, I don't want to say. Like, I don't know. Oh, my gosh. You're a trickster, you.
But it is a great parallel for if you're thinking about something like sexuality or like variability within human population, and it doesn't have to be. A minority can still be an okay thing. We don't have to pathologize variation in our experience as human beings.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so handedness.
And you chose this because you're left-handed.
Yeah, left-handed and gay. What percentage is that?
0. There's no other left-handed gay people in the world.
No, none. Well,
I don't know. What is it? You tell me.
Like 11 to 13% of people that are gay are left-handed. So they're slightly overrepresented, but it's nothing like too crazy.
I'm surprised you've looked that up before. Actually, no, I'm not surprised you knew that.
Oh, I did a deep dive on left-handedness for the sake of this episode. And I guess, so I am a human being that is left-handed, and you are...
I'm a lizard person who is right-handed.
I guess I didn't need to qualify that I'm in fact a Homo sapien. Yes, we all know this. And all the listeners are probably humans or dolphins. One of the reasons why I chose this is because, well, I was just struggling to find something good, and I was researching a bunch of different topics. But then I landed on this one because in my family, so in my house, I have myself, my partner, 2 kids. My partner's a lefty. And then my oldest kid's a lefty. And then my partner's parents are both lefties.
But your youngest kid is a righty.
Yeah. When I was growing up, like I grew up with like my parents and my sibling, like a brother and a sister and my parents. And I was the only left-handed person.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's so strange. Now you're surrounded by lefties. I bet you guys all have left-handed scissors.
No, actually, like we have 3 pairs of kitchen scissors, and there's only one that reliably works for me, and I don't think any of them are lefty scissors. Like I think I've given up.
Don't know how to use scissors.
I'm horrible at scissors. Like I can just bitch about all the things in life that are difficult because I'm left-handed.
Okay.
There's so many places you can go with left-handedness because obviously there have been left-handed people. I say obviously. They've been around for at least 500,000 years.
Oh.
So when did humans become right-hand dominant? So I guess the actual topic is more handedness, but like if you're talking about left-handedness, obviously you're going to talk about right-handedness and, people that are ambidextrous. It's the full gamut, the full spectrum of handedness, right? There's evidence from stone tools and cut marks on animal bones and kind of wear patterns that humans have for at least 500,000 years been right hand dominant. And there's even some evidence of Homo habilis 1.8 million years ago being right hand dominant, as well as Homo erectus and Neanderthals.
Wow.
How can they tell? Well, our teeth, they can tell by teeth. It's amazing the things that the things that archaeologists can tell from teeth. So that's kind of one of the coolest pieces of evidence comes from fossilized teeth. So early humans often use their teeth as a third hand, so like holding objects while cutting them with tools. So this left microscopic scratches on the front teeth. And most scratch patterns are angled in a way consistent with right hand tool use.
Oh.
Yeah. So hundreds of thousands of years ago, humans already used their right hands.
It's always fascinating to learn about something new because you're like, wow, there is a whole subset of people, archaeologists, that study this. And there are people that are so knowledgeable about it. And I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah. And so we wonder why. Why do lefties exist? And obviously, like, listeners take this caveat that with any sort of evolutionary psychology, these are all just theories. Then there's no 100% consensus because we can't go back and we're working with like teeth and bones and stuff, right? So we don't know why, just in case. I don't want the left-handed community coming for me, so.
They're notoriously very violent.
Yeah,
people,
they're very, well, we'll get into that. There's so much. So right-handedness is closely tied in with brain asymmetry, especially for language and motor control. And people that are right-handed are more likely to be left hemisphere dominant. And this developed early in human evolution is probably connected to tool use, communication, and language. So it's because for humans it was probably more efficient to be processing more on the side that was connected to communication and tool use. So like I said, having a dominant side for the brain for language and motor controls tends to be considered to be more efficient and might be the reason why the majority of people are right-handed. However, there is a consistent 10% minority across like most societies that is left-handedness and that is left-handed. And it's like, why? Why do you think?
Yeah, why do you exist?
Why do I exist? Why? Yeah.
As I'm listening to you talk, I can't help but just be like, you're your own little tribe over there.
I know. It's a whole
lefties.
community that I haven't even like identified with yet. I could make it my whole personality. You imagine?
What?
So yeah, why do you think?
I can't even, honestly, I can't even make a funny guess. I have no idea. Is there like people that have theorized as to why, or do we actually know why?
It's mostly theorized as to why, but it does make sense. One of the main theories as to why it exists is the frequency dependent selection, which is sometimes called the fighting hypothesis. So if you look into like certain sports, like lefties are overrepresented in baseball, at certain sports like fighting, lefties sometimes have an advantage, right? Because you're coming from the opposite side that the person's expecting you to. And so obviously this advantage exists if there is a minority of people, but then if you had it increased to half people being left-handed, then it wouldn't be an advantage anymore. So researchers kind of think that having this exist shows like human beings competition. That is the main theory.
Okay. And what was the theory called? It
is called the frequency dependent selection, or the fighting hypothesis. And it's, again, lefties have an advantage in sports like tennis, baseball, fencing, and interactive sports where like the direction and timing of movements matters. Do you think there are major differences between lefties and righties?
Like personality wise?
Yeah.
Honestly, I find most left-handed people I know have a more of a creative energy about them, whether it's they're like good at drawing and I know I'm kind of like describing you, but I also know like a few left-handed people that are the same way.
It's funny because I have a list of myths versus reality about left-handedness. Yeah. And literally the first one is lefties are more creative.
Yeah, but I know it's anecdotal, but like I don't know. I guess that must just be my specific experience. But it's crazy because so my husband, he's the oldest of 4 and they're all left-handed and he's right-handed. And they're all more creative than him. And
Interesting.
he's like not that, like he's creative in a more of an analytical way. It's just
What are the parents? Like, are they
righties?
That's
No.
so weird. Like,
I know.
the probability of that, it's in and of itself. Because, like, if you have...
Really? I should tell them that.
Yeah. Like, if you're of the general population, your chance of having a child that's left-handed is 10%. If you have one left-handed parent, then you have a 15 to 20% chance of having a child that's left-handed. If there are both left-handed parents, then it's a 25 to 30% chance. So the fact that 2 righties had 3 lefties out of 4, that's...
I know, it's wild.
That's wild. Like, what? We need to study his family, really.
Oh, that's our next episode.
Yeah, maybe that's our next episode. Absolutely. Okay, so yes,
all right.
I'm going back to the myths. So there is like it's commonly said that lefties are more creative, but in reality, research doesn't show that they are consistently more creative or have a more creative advantage. But lefties do have more practice in adapting, so that's thought to be perhaps like why they might seem to be a little bit more creative, because they're used to adapting to a world that's not built for them.
That's wild to think about. As a right-handed person, I've never had to think about this ever in my life.
Well, I will just tell one story about my dedication as a lefty student. So like when we were in our undergrad, there was one classroom in the psychology building that it had all those stupid desks that just have like the one side where it's like an armrest and then like a place where you can write. There was one lefty desk in the room. So I would go, most of the time I would go early because I was a keener, right? Like this was like history of psych, very intense 4th year course. I wanted to be there front center taking my notes. So I would move the desk from the back to the front.
Okay, nerd.
Yeah, I know. There was one day that I was late and the desk was still near the front, but a righty had taken my goddamn desk. And I knew that person, and I was like, I actually was like, excuse me, this is a left-handed desk. Look around, bitch. Like you can choose any desk.
Did you call her a bitch?
It was a man, and I didn't call him a bitch, but I kindly asked for him to move, and he did.
I'm surprised that anyone right-handed would ever be like, unless they hadn't even taken out their notebook yet and noticed.
I don't even think Buddy was thinking.
Yeah, there's no way.
But you know who was thinking? Me. I had the mental load of being like, do I have back pain or do I have to like strategically go to class really early? And
yeah, I know what desks you're talking about.
Yeah. Or whiteboards or chalkboards, like just the left. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you not smudge?
How do you not smudge? Great question. That is just one story of my plight of left-handedness. And I promise this is not a woe is me. Like I'm very secure in my identity as a left-handed individual. And you know what? I am very privileged to be of a generation where they didn't try to convert me to being right-handed. So yeah, there's all kinds of myths. So another one is that lefties are smarter. Lefties are slightly more represented in geniuses. So like 20% of Mensa is left-handed, and lefties are more represented in individuals with cognitive delays. But like overall, there's not a significant difference in IQ. So we're just like a little bit more in the extremes, but large scale studies.
We're just like a little bit smarter than you guys, but
a little less smart. We're just, it evens out.
Yeah. We're gonna take away all your left-handed scissors.
Yeah. I know you gotta level the playing field here. There's also a myth that lefties have like reverse brains, like that they're right-brained, but actually like the majority of lefties are left hemisphere dominant.
I hate to say that that's like the first thing that came into my mind when you told me we were doing this episode. I was like, I wonder if that's real, that fact, and it's not. Great. Okay.
There is another myth that lefties die younger. Did you ever hear that? Like they die on average 7 years younger than other people.
No, I never heard that.
That was from like an older study, but it didn't account for the fact that many lefties were forced to switch. So older populations look less left-handed. Basically like people were like forced to switch early. So there was like less lefties that were older. And then when they realized that and changed up the statistics to account for that, there was no difference in life expectancy. And lefties are naturally clumsier. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I know you really well. And no, I'm kidding. I'm pretty clumsy too. I I mean, how do you measure clumsiness? How many times do you bang your knees on a desk per day? Like,
How many wine glasses you spill?
What does the research say?
It says no. It's just that we live in a world that is designed for right-handed people.
Yeah.
And one more myth. Being ambidextrous is better. I just told you it's a myth, so now you know that it's a myth. So I ruined that.
I was really thinking about that one. You didn't even have to say that. So that's a myth that it is better to be ambidextrous. Well, is it worse to be ambidextrous or just like there's no... Oh, okay.
Ambidexterity can actually be, it can be a sign of like, or a precursor or correlated with other learning issues, because it's really, really strong dominance is good. It's more efficient, right? Like in human beings, developing a dominant hand allows us to specialize, and then the other hand takes a supportive role. Being ambidextrous, it's like if you specialize in one sport or one thing versus like doing a bunch and then just being like mediocre versus all your eggs in one basket kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's better to whole ass one thing.
Yeah.
Than to half ass multiple things. That was Ron Swanson.
I like that.
Yeah. It's from Parks and Rec.
So, historical treatment and cultural stigma against being lefties. There's a whole page where people post old newspaper articles about lefties on Facebook. So shout out to them. So I have a bunch of random newspaper clippings and stuff, and it's just like, it's actually unhinged. It's wild. And if you think about like in English, we say right is like the correct right.
Oh, no
and
way.
Oftentimes like when it's described in scripture, like the right path, talking about the right side, and the right-handed side of God was the more like honorable side compared to the left-handed side. In Latin, left means sinister.
Oh.
The point of view in a lot of cultures was like, left-handedness was sometimes associated with witchcraft. There were people that in certain societies were, either forced to write with their right hand, but oftentimes it was stigmatized.
I know it wasn't that long ago that you couldn't be left-handed. I almost want to say that this happened to a relative of mine, like an older relative, that they were forced to write with their right hand.
And now we're on to a book. I just sent you the cover of the book.
Oh, The Prevention and Correction of Left-Handedness in Children, J.W. Conway. Okay.
So this was published in 1936, and it's like a 39-page booklet recommending like the training of children from infancy onwards, how to
1936.
Yeah. How to overcome left-handedness. Like this was still very common practice. And like in this book, he refers to it as left-handedness being the result of parental indifference to the seriousness of the handicap. He calls it sinistral condition, a disease. And,
a disease?
Yeah. And that we need to recognize it along the same lines as rickets, pneumonia, and colic.
Jesus.
And then these quotes are like unhinged. So I picked a few different quotes out from the book, but I'm going to send you a quote just to see your reaction.
Okay. Do you want me to read this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a quote from this deranged book. It is well to remember at this stage in the child's development that the infant must be patiently trained without excitement or over anxiety in the part of the mother or nurse. All of his activities must be supervised until proper habits are established. The danger of the left-handed condition must be kept constantly in mind, and even the most trivial incidents must contribute their share towards his training as a right-handed individual. It's just like, it's okay, moms, you don't have enough to do. Now you need to constantly think about what hand your kid is using to do things. That's too bad.
These poor mothers and nurses, I guess, that were having to do this. This is another excerpt from it. If baby's left hand shows too much activity at this stage, it is advisable to cover it up with his blanket. If baby resents having his hand covered and sets up a wail of protest, the mother must not yield to his complaint, but must attract his attention in some manner, preferably with some small object that he can grasp with his right hand. It must not be construed from these instructions that all activity of the left hand must be suppressed. The normal function of the left hand is to aid the right hand in all activity requiring the use of both. However, the right hand must be leading the way when baby grasps or strikes at objects around him.
Oh my God.
And then do you know what he recommends? that made me think of those stupid university desks. He says, a small one-armed chair with the right arm of the chair extending into a table is of great value in enforcing the use of right hand when drawing or eating, or when merely using the chair in any numerous activities the child will find it for.
Now I'm trying to put myself into the person's shoes who's trying to be trained to be right-handed when they're actually left-handed. I'm like, okay, so if I'm trying to write, like I am right-handed, so writing with my left hand is so weird and uncomfortable. Is there research into like whether that actually hindered the kid's development?
Yeah, it actually led to, in some cases, it led to stuttering and like,
Interesting.
yeah, difficulties with learning in general because of the cognitive load.
Yeah, because it's so uncomfortable. It does feel unnatural.
Yeah.
And now you have to pay attention to that at all times. And it sounds like it's one of those things that actually can't be like trained away. It's just you're adapting all the time.
Yes, you're adapting all the time, but I frequent, and prior to this episode was still like on the subreddit. It's called Southpaw. It's like a bunch of lefties, and I will read you some of their experiences after, because shout out to our Southpaw. I had 54 comments to my question being like, doing a left-handed podcast. Any ideas? Any things that you want to share about your experience?
Oh, yeah. Crowdsourcing.
Yeah, crowdsourcing. I want to show you the paradigm shift. I'm just going to read to you. So this is from a teacher's handbook. It's called The Essentials of Writing from 1957. And this is what it says about a lefty child. It says, by the time a child reaches third grade, hand dominance has been well established. Those using the left hand should be given special help in problems of position of the body and correct angle of the paper and holding of the pencil. This is the age 2, where the inverted left-handed position may creep in to destroy the desirable habits of posture that the teacher has tried to establish. Since left-handedness seems to be increasing in recent years, the teacher must prepare herself for meeting this situation by studying other individual cases. Special instruction may be necessary, particularly at the beginning of the year. In no time should the teacher lower her standards of attainment because of the left-handed child in her classroom. Much encouragement should be given to a naturally left-handed child. The same quality of work should be expected from him as his right-handed companions. So
Okay.
this was from 1957. And
Okay.
so you can see within that was 21 years afterwards, after the book that we just read. And you hear even saying that left-handedness has increased in years.
I know.
In the
I
same
like
way
that.
that we might have, we've had some people moral panic that homosexuality has increased. And it's like, oh no, we're actually just letting people be who they are naturally. Crazy idea.
They were always there, huh?
Yeah. You could compare this to a lot of things like representation for individuals with disabilities, with, different genders, sexuality. We have always been here.
They just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere. But this one, I mean, obviously this is not like a moral panic. I liked this because it was like, yeah, hold them to the same standard. Yeah, you're going to have to tell them how to position their paper and their posture might be a little bit fucked, but expect the same thing because lefties are as good as righties and you can't change them.
Good. It's good to know. That was a quick turnaround though with those two examples.
Yeah.
You said it was only 21 years between them, so clearly they learned pretty quick that this isn't working. Or did they see, like you said, they saw some negative effects probably?
Yeah. Perspectives got a little bit nicer. I mean, there's one that I wanted to share. There was a Lancet article from 1924 by Dr. William Inman, and it's called The Mental Sorrows of Left-Handedness. Okay. And Dr. Inman here has a lot of things to say about lefties. This is probably my favorite excerpt from the article. So, researchers found a high percentage of left-handers among criminals. Is there a common factor present in these various classes which tend to develop abnormality? The mental defective has a definite inferiority in comparison with his fellows, and a feeling of resentment may perhaps be attributed to him. As this inferiority passes away, he tends to conform to the usual custom. The criminal is in conflict with the herd. The boy is more aggressive and independent than the girl. The common factor which seems to emerge is a spirit of contrariness. As already stated, the attribute of left-handedness in the adult does not carry with it any imputation of blameworthiness. Other things being equal, he is assumed to be a useful member of society as a right-hander. But does he show any sign of a spirit of contrariness?
Ooh, not contrariness. We couldn't have. Ooh, we couldn't have that in society.
Now he tells his observations. He's like, I know a guy. Like, actually. He's like, my observations point to the conclusion that in many cases, the left-hander has his own peculiar temperament. A mental expert corresponding with me on the subject. So he doesn't even list who. He's like, I was writing a letter with a mental expert and he said this. I have a patient who is extremely left-handed, and his past history relates...
Okay, so I'm sorry. Just you're not just regular left-handed. You're an extreme left-handed.
So he's extremely left-handed, and his past history relates to terrible conflicts with his father. In fact, he is the most left-handed man I have ever known, except myself.
How are you more left-handed than someone else?
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe you're like, oh, when I'm doing baseball or sweeping, I also use my left hand dominantly.
Oh, okay. Baseball or sweeping.
Because I mean, typically we think about hand dominance as the hand we use to write, but we could get into that. I use my right hand to open jars. Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm a left-handed like hockey stick holder, and I'm a very right-handed person.
That's a little bit of mixed handedness there. Okay. So we are back to the article. So he, just to bring you back, he is like, I was writing with a guy who's a mental expert, and he said the most left-handed man had terrible conflict with his dad.
The most left-handed, right?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're back to the writer of the article, our buddy Dr. William Inman. And so William here also says, I too have experienced much conflict with father substitutes, commanding officers, government officials. A still more striking example of obstructiveness is that of a man, the only left-hander of his family, whose opposition to authority of any kind was so great that he relinquished post after post abroad and at home. And when it appeared he was settled for life because some higher official ventured to control his actions, this resentful attitude towards authority can be found in most left-handers. It's a mouthful, but
it's a bit of a generalization, Dr. William Inman.
Now we're going to do a little pivot to some notable lefties.
Okay.
Do you know any Disney characters that are left-handed?
Disney?
Give me 2 Disney princesses that are left-handed.
Oh.
I actually think it'll check out when you, if you think about...
Okay. We're not talking like Snow White. Like...
No.
Okay.
I don't even think she can write. She can't write.
Rapunzel.
Nope.
Oh, God. Ariel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ariel and Mulan.
Mulan. Because she was holding a sword, so everyone knows. Or did she write anything? How do we... What is the exact scene? Give me the
script. Remember she writes the script on her arm to cheat during the matchmaker thing, and then she spills tea, left-handed, clumsy.
You're so right, because I remember
and then she spills tea, and then it all goes away, and she's like, yeah. So now we are going to be getting to the part of the episode where we can have a little bit more lefty representation, hearing about the nuanced experiences of individuals from Reddit. Now that it's like... First, we need to talk about the notable Disney princesses. Yeah. Now you get your spotlight, Reddit, Southpaw.
This is how you podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
So I thought this one was funny. I'm going to send this one to you. I asked for some stories from our Southpaw.
Okay. It's not an annoyance, rather a funny little thing that most people don't talk about. When I buy a cappuccino in a fancy cafe, the latte art heart in the cup is always done for righties, such that the heart is upright in the cup when you drink. Oh yeah, with the handle on the right side. But when I turn the cup 180 degrees, I have to hold the handle on the left side of the cup. I see not a heart, but something that resembles a butt or testicles. That is so true.
And I have never thought of that.
That is so random, but I love that. Okay.
And now, I'm never gonna not, anytime there's latte art now, I'm never gonna, on-see the butt or testicles.
The butt or testicles, yeah. Next time I'm gonna drink my latte with my left hand in solidarity with you guys.
I appreciate that. Okay, here's another one I want you to read.
Oh, they said I hate can openers. I feel like you've talked to me about can openers before. I couldn't really use our manual can opener, so I splurged on an electric one. The new electric can opener is still fucking right-handed. I still can't open cans. One day I had to admit defeat and knock on my neighbor's door and say, I am too left-handed for our right-handed can opener. Please open this for me. Do you have an automatic can opener?
No, okay, when you're opening, now I'm like, do I open it left-handed or right-handed? When you're opening
twist
a can,
the thing with my right hand.
Me too. Okay.
Oh, okay. So you're left-handed, but you open a can the correct way, the right-handed way.
The right-handed way, yeah. Good autocorrect there. That must be one of the ways that I guess I've learned to adapt. It's weird because like,
does it feel funny?
No, but I feel like I'm holding on for dear life and like getting a real workout because obviously my right arm doesn't do as much. Okay, so this is another one. I switched from left spiral notebooks to top spiral notebooks because I was so tired of running into the spiral when I write. My boss, who is also left-handed, told me that it was a great idea and she'd never considered doing that.
That's interesting. Well, I remember like this goes back to smudging. How do you do that? How do you write on a whiteboard without smudging? You haven't even answered my question.
I thought you meant like indigenous smudging, and I was like, I don't. What? Did I miss something? But yes, you have to keep your hand up, or you just smudge. Like I feel like as a kid, especially using pencil, or really like by the end of the workday using pen, I'm just like I'm a colorful little canvas here. Okay,
you just learn to live with it. You're adapting.
Okay, want to know one thing I don't do that it always really pisses me off when lefties do it? It's like the backwards check mark.
I've seen a backwards check mark.
That bothers me. I don't like it. And somebody here said a left-handed check mark is not backwards.
I think actually this needs to be brought to the highest powers.
Yeah.
I think we could put everything else aside that's going on and get to the bottom of this.
You know what? I'm going to Google if the lefty check mark is considered a valid check mark.
Okay. This is good podcasting.
Oh. A lefty check mark which slants the long tail to the left rather than right is completely fine and functional because a check mark is just an informal symbol rather than a standardized letter. So do you think maybe I have a little bit of compulsory right-handedness or like internalized right-handed discrimination or internalized lefty shame?
Maybe not shame, maybe not actual real shame, but I was going to ask, like, do you have anything that you have that you, I guess you sounds like you're judging this person for their left-handed check mark.
Yeah. But then I'm like, why have I been judging the left-handed check mark? Like, why am I
don't know.
Maybe my small act of getting back in touch with my lefty roots is to do the backwards check mark, or not the backwards, the lefty check mark.
Oh yeah, don't call it backwards. It's a left-handed check mark.
Another thing that's interesting on the Southpaw subreddit, there's a lot of people that grew up even in like the 90s and the 80s and 70s that were forced to switch sides.
That late.
Yeah, that late. And some of these people are talking about starting to retrain themselves to write with their left hand again. It was common. Sometimes people would even restrain the other side, right?
Really?
In rehabilitation, there is a type of rehabilitation called constraint-induced movement therapy. And oftentimes it's used for, say, like you have a child that has cerebral palsy and they have weakness in one side. They will constrain the hand that is stronger and dominant to develop the other side because of the weakness. And so it's like an intensive therapy.
And that's what they would have done with somebody who was left-handed.
Yeah. Overall, it was, again, across many languages seen as a bad thing. And we still use language today that would denote left as something that's not as good. If like someone's moving awkwardly, it's like they're gaucher. That's like the word for it in French.
Oh, okay. They're moving like a lefty. Am I right?
They're moving like a lefty. So it's just interesting how language is so connected with societal values over time and how it evolves and how we become cognizant of these things. And that's one of the parts that I like about podcasting because like you get to constantly learn something new.
Oh my God.
I know.
You brought us full circle.
Yeah. What I was going to share with you though is one last fun fact. So what percentage of kangaroos are left-handed?
I didn't even know. How do you, okay.
Or left pod?
I was going to say I didn't know that kangaroos could write, but I learned something today. 14.
Nope.
78. I don't know. I have no clue. What is it?
Kangaroos are 95% left paw.
What?
Yeah.
What on earth? Is it because they live down under? Is it because it's opposite?
Yeah. Did you hear the toilet water also goes the opposite way?
Is that actually real?
I don't know, actually. I was joking because I didn't think it was, but let me check. Does toilet water
No, it doesn't. It's not.
You looked it up?
Yeah, I just Googled it. Okay.
So I'll give you like kind of like a cultural timeline, Western culture-ish, in terms of the views on left-handedness.
Okay.
It wasn't always pathologized to the extent in which it was in like the 19th to 20th century. In the Middle Ages to the 1800s, left-handedness was socially discouraged, and they thought you might be a witch. But like a lot of things, they thought you might be a witch. Like if you had opinions or emotions, or you weren't subservient as a woman. So left-handedness was thought to be sinister, wicked. Then we get to 19th to 20th century. This is where they started to really force kids to switch. And this is, if you kind of think about it, this is when school, like structured school, is getting a lot more common. People are getting a lot more educated. There were increases in literacy rates and the ability to write. And corresponding to that, obviously, there was the desire to make everyone uniform and to use those stupid fucking tables that have the one-sided thing. Everything comes back to them.
To the table. Everything comes back to the tables.
Everything comes back to the tables, and I feel so bad. My heart goes out to all the righties or all the lefties who have tried to. And I'm gonna say, next time you are in one of those rooms with those tables, right-handed people, you sit down in the lefty one and see how weird it feels. Just saying. And they used to have those in auditoriums as well. Like, remember like auditorium seating where you flip up the one for... I remember doing exams in university and being like, guess I gotta be on the end because I...
Yeah, and you can't sit with your friends. You gotta go sit on the end by yourself.
Guess I gotta be a loner or have back pain. So yeah, in the 19th to early 20th century, that is when we saw books like The Prevention and Correction of Left-Handedness in Children, that little gem of a book that we looked at earlier. And this was something, it was really in the height of like behavioral psychology too. Like if you think about like operant conditioning, and humans were seen as like, yes, we can, all we need to do, we got to make people how we want them to. And so we're just going to kind of like train them. And there was a big emphasis on training children in a way that previous generations probably didn't have as much. And then we get to the mid to late 20th century. And that is when, in psychology and neuroscience, as also reflected from that teacher's handbook in the 1950s, it's like, lefties are people too. And you can, it's like, they're, by grade 3, that hand dominance, that is established. And actually it is established way earlier. This is kind of, I'm like pivoting, but typically within the first few years. But there are even some studies showing that you can show a correlation between preference for which thumb you're sucking in the womb and handedness. So it goes back pretty early.
I am curious about my youngest because he's 18 months and I'm like, he's going to start showing a preference and I can't tell.
If he's a lefty, I'm going to give you some parenting tips, okay?
Okay.
Just from my lived experience and the experience of those on Reddit, our Southpaw, we're referring to a lot. But when you are raising a lefty child, it is very important that, like, if you are, so say you're showing them how to write a letter, you got to do it with your left hand. If you're showing them to do anything like cutting or like eating, like,
God damn it.
You don't you don't have to, but it's easier for their brains to get it, because as a lefty, you struggle more because you're constantly having to flip the image in your head. So you can think about a child learning, and it would be a lot easier to do so if you had the model doing it the same way.
So I need to become ambidextrous pretty fucking fast.
Yeah. Get all your eggs in multiple baskets here. I'm giving you the opposite advice. Get worse at doing everything. And okay, so that's one. Another one, I would say, get lefty pens.
What's a lefty pen?
For certain pens are made to be pulled. Lefties push them. So it's not as efficient and it's more of a piss off sometimes.
What? This is something I would never think of. Like the way that the ball works in the pen.
Yeah. It's meant to be pulled, not pushed. That would be one. I would say get left-handed scissors.
Okay.
In anything like with sports, like get them left-handed
But
equipment for
actually,
sports.
my husband and I both shoot left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Our daughter shoots left-handed. She's right-handed. And my son just started picking up a hockey stick, and he is doing it left-handed as well. But I don't know. So it's interesting. Stay tuned, folks. I know you're really interested in my children's development.
I think what the interesting thing about like sports, me as someone who is not an expert in sports, I don't think I've ever said that sentence in my life, the interesting thing about sports, but here we are. The interesting thing about sports is that it's more gross motor, right? Like it's not anything that's like more precision and fine motor. I bet you do with your right hand. When you're cross stitching, for instance, what's the dominant hand there?
Right. You're right. Everything is right. The only thing that I do left is that, but this is weird because when you drive standard,
Yeah.
you typically have your hand on the steering wheel with your left hand.
Right.
So I ended because you are changing gears with your right. And so I got really used to driving with my left hand on the steering wheel, which was an adjustment. So that's another, that isn't even that interesting, but.
Okay, I have a semi unrelated story. Now that we're getting into cars. So I had to rent a car in order to go out of town for work. And so I rent a car, but then they're like, "Oh, we actually have an SUV." And I'm like, "Fuck." I drive like a Corolla. It's very small. So then I'm driving this big SUV to a different city. That's fine. And then, you have to fill up the gas tank before you bring the car back. And I opened the door and I couldn't find the little tabby that you pull up for the gas tank to open. And there was not one anywhere. And then I looked, I looked in the dash and like the plastic was still on the book. And I was like, well, I don't want to like open the plastic. So I walk into the gas station and I'm like, hey, I can't get the gas thing open.
You're not looking good here.
No, it just gets worse. It gets worse. So then I walk into the gas station. I'm like, hey, I can't get the thing open. It's a rental car. I need to fill it up. Like, can you help me? And he was like, oh, yeah. I'll be out in a second. And then he gets like a rush of people and he has this long line. So he can't come help me. And I'm just like sketchily standing outside by the pump myself. Somebody pulls in behind me and he's like buddy like gets his gas. And then he's just like looking at me and he's like, can I help you with something? And I'm getting stressed out because like it's getting closer to the time. Like I need to return this rental car by 5, and like I have like 10 minutes now, and I gotta get my kids from daycare. Like it's a whole thing, and then so without any shame, I'm like, this is a rental car. It didn't have the lever that you pull up for the gas thing, and I don't know how to open it. The guy inside was gonna help me, but then he got a long line, and this guy just walks up to the fucking gas tank, and he pushes on it, and it opens. He pushes on it, and it opens. I say, thank you very much, and then I fill up my gas, and then I go into the gas station, and the gas station guy is like, oh, you figured it out? And I was like, someone help me. And he's like, so sorry. Like, there were so many people that came in. So sorry I couldn't go help you. And I'm like dying right now. I'm just like, I just want to get out of here. I want to get this car back. Like,
Sarah. Okay.
I'm like, sometimes like me existing in the world, I'm like Mr. Bean or something. Like, I'm like, Mr. Bean would do that. He'd be like, and I even tried to like claw at it. I'm like, it's not, it won't open. So I think this is feedback to the rental car company. Please only give me one that have the pulley tabs for the.
We've just, I mean, my car has the push, just like your rental car did. So this is why I'm laughing so hard, because I'm like, oh, Sarah.
After I thought about the fact that I could have Googled it, but I didn't know
I
didn't know the make and model of it. Like, still, ask me the make and model of my partner's car.
You can look on the back of the
CRV, maybe. I don't know. I don't even know.
But do you know that you can just look on the back of the car and it'll have the make and model on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like none of
you just look.
all of my executive function skills were gone because I was so stressed. I just wanted to get back
man.
there. I did not want to be driving this big ass SUV.
Oh, Sarah.
I blame
I'm so
this
sorry.
on being left-handed.
I'm yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm keeping that in the episode, so that will be the reason that I'm keeping that in.
But also, I think all that back to saying I do drive left-hand dominant.
That's how we got into this story.
Yeah.
I forgot how this tangent
But the
started.
story was like too good not to tell.
It's so good. Did this just happen?
It was, 3.5 weeks ago. Like not even a month ago. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I often don't keep that long of tangents in the episodes, but it's staying. So
It can absolutely stay.
that was so good. Oh, that was such a good way to end the episode. That tickled me.
Yeah.
So that can't obviously be blamed on your left-handedness.
We could probably blame my clumsiness on my esotropia, which
What's esotropia?
esotropia is when it's like difficulty with convergence with your eyes. So your eyes like don't always work together. And one might
Right. Yeah, sorry. I forgot about that.
How could you forget about it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Anyway, I think the combination of being left-handed and having a lazy eye without glasses.
Yeah, that's not good. Also, I'm also a very clumsy person, and you are too. So anecdotally, the left-handed or right-handedness might not matter in that regard, but
Yeah, I know a person, you know a person. I was corresponding with a person.
We're just like William Inman.
I will say I am very glad that I get to be the mother of a lefty. But you know that lefties, you know what they're more likely to have? Really, really bad pencil grasps. Like so bad.
Okay.
Like, how do you hold a pencil? Show me.
Oh, you know what? You have taught me this. I don't have a pencil.
I'm like looking desperately.
I have the perfect.
Oh, you have a dynamic tripod. Damn
Yes. I showed you once.
you. Yeah, I hold a pencil probably worse
actually-
than most 3-year-olds actually.
Yes, actually, I do know this of your pencil holding. But you have neat writing. So at the end of the day, what does it matter? It's not like anyone uses a pencil ever anyway.
Handwriting is so much better for the world, and we need to get back to handwriting. You retain way more information when you're handwriting. It's way better for kids that have dysgraphia and dyslexia.
I don't retain information. Like when I was in school, I never typed my notes. I always wrote because it's the only way I could retain anything.
So yeah, cursive, that could be a whole episode really.
Cursive.
That and belly buttons, but
belly buttons will just be the episode that we talk about all the time, but that we never do.
oh my god, yes.
Okay, so what did you learn today, Sarah?
I learned today that the right-handed community just doesn't have a full appreciation for the scope and depth of the difficulties that the lefties face at sometimes. But you know what? I like being a lefty because, lefties have this thing where I'm not saying we have a community. I'm not saying we have a culture. Not saying that. Not going that far. But like whenever you meet you notice. I feel like do you notice people's handedness very often?
Never.
Like I feel like lefties look for that more.
Yeah,
it's like maybe like
definitely.
If you're gay, you're like looking for a rainbow. You're like trying to find somebody that's like your people. But like when you find a lefty, when you see another lefty, you're like, oh my god, you're left-handed. And then someone will be like, oh my grandma's left-handed. Like
you're right. It actually is something that kind of unites all of us.
It kind of like everybody's like, oh yeah. I personally prefer to sit next to a lefty because I don't like hitting elbows. But I think in the end, it's our variability that makes us beautiful as humans.
And that is what we're going to leave you with, dear listener.
Yeah, I do have a story about that before we finish off, and it is relevant to this.
I love that.
I'm actually decent at writing with my right hand because prior to my wedding in 2015, I was bitten. I was apprehending 2 male dagus, which are small rodents that were fighting. I had
dagus. Dagus are like kind of like rats almost.
They're very, very closely related to the chinchilla, and they're one of the only animals like rodents that uses tools. They can teach them to use little rakes in labs anyway, but I digress. So we had 17 of them. you don't need to know more about that. Basically, the males were fighting, and I like stuck my hand in because I was like freaking out, and I got bit. I got bit.
Yes.
Then I woke up and it was swollen and really painful, and I had cellulitis in my fingers, so I had to get IV antibiotics for a week at the hospital.
Oh
and
my God, I remember this.
yeah, and I had to wear a compression glove the morning of my wedding so that the ring would fit. But the worst part was like I was like working up until like right before my wedding, and I was working at a job where I had to do a lot of paper charting, and I had to do this with my right hand. And I was like, yeah. So I got pretty good. I can even send you some writing samples afterwards.
Oh my God, great. Perfect. Thanks. Yeah. I was hoping to get I need some proof of that.
And my grasp with my right hand is better than my grasp with my left hand. Like I hold it like a normal person with my right hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I also like how you glazed over the fact that you had 17 dagus. We will be coming back to that, folks, and we'll dive into that another day. Why Sarah had so
I
many
could do
dagus.
A whole episode on dagus, actually. They're
There
quite
you go. Put it
fascinating.
on the list.
So I think I did a good job getting into the nuances of the left-handed community. And again, big thank you to our Southpaws.
I'm not a left-handed person myself, but I am an ally.
I would say most people are allies at this point. Like, I don't think that there's like that there's these like groups, underground groups of righties that are like,
We must eliminate the lefties.
we're gonna right pill everyone. I think that pretty much wraps us up. Thank you for joining us.
And please go and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and YouTube, and rate and review.
And start doing the lefty check mark if you're a lefty.
You do that. You do it. Don't listen to Sarah. It's real.
Yeah, and righties aren't going to appropriate it, though. I'll be watching.
Okay, perfect. You'll be watching. And goodbye.